Greetings, fellow adventurer, and welcome to Yellow Madhouse's Stories by the Hearth. Here by the fire, we share stories from all over Rodozem, a world inspired by fantasy and Slavic folklore. Today's festive winter story will be read by Hristov. We hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories like this. So get comfortable and let's begin the tale of Kolyada's Eve.
Kolyada's Eve. As the legends go, during the winter solstice, Morana, the goddess of death in winter, sends her champion Kolyada to walk upon the lands of Rodozem and cover them in a thick, snowy blanket. It is the time for the earth to sleep and die before it is reborn again in spring under the footfalls of Yarilo, god of life and light, Morana's beloved. So goes the eternal dance of life and death, and the great cycle spins ever forth. People mark the winter solstice as Kolyada's Eve, the night when winter's peace would embrace the world. It is time to make merry and stay together around the warm hearth, to bring light to this darkest of nights. People would keep the biting frost at bay with song and laughter and an ever-burning log, the budnik. It was an old understanding that wherever the budnik burned, people would be spared by the icy cold and instead stay warm under Kolyada's snowy embrace. However, there are other forces of frost, darkness, and oblivion out there on this longest of nights. Malevolent spirits who do not care for the wisdom of the cycle nor the balance of existence. Dul Maroz stalks the wintry darkness and tries to snuff out everything warm and beautiful, every hearth, every spark of life. If it was the will of Dul Maroz, the whole of Rodozem would freeze forever, a frigid desert of endless frost and loneliness, the lifeless domain of the long frost. It was the morning of Kolyada's Eve, the shortest day of the year, followed by the longest and coldest night. A blanket of sparkling snow covered the cozy village of Svetlovar, nestled within the rocky embrace of the Rodozem mountain range. Stone chimneys huffed and puffed thick grey smoke into a sky the color of a bruised plum. 1, 2, 3, pull! 1, 2, 3, pull! Drum beats and song accompanied the lumberjacks as they hauled a massive oak towards the village square. The tree was ritually felled earlier that day at the edge of the forest, where now only its stump remained, decorated in offerings in honor of the fallen oak. This would become the sacred, ever-burning log, the budnik, which will keep alight the hearths of everyone over the darkest of nights. But first, the local cleric would consecrate it, anointing its bark with frankincense and oils and binding it in fleece. The merry villagers were welcoming their budnik tree into their humble settlement with music and festivity. Everyone would get a piece for their homes. Children were running around excitedly, collecting sticks from the fallen branches of the massive tree. Joy and hope lit up people's faces and hearts as they sang. Chop the log and strip the fold, bind the wood with thong and wool, pour the oil and wrap it tight, to keep us warm throughout the night. Stand together, hand in hand, let the iron wake the land, strike the frost and ring the bells, while the world sleeping dwells. Keep the flame and share the bread, keep the living from the dead. Now the winter's peace comes in, Kolyada's eve begins. The village of Svetlovar was full of life. The streets were decorated with ribbons, bells, and evergreen branches. The brisk wintry air carried the scent of home, of warm pastries and cinnamon. A bell rang in the distance, announcing that noon was approaching. A group of young adventurers left their homes in a rush, excited to join arguably the best part of the festival, the Snowball Fight. Tradition dictated that the Snowball Fight winner would be titled the Snow Champion, the one to decide where and how to build the Guardian Snowman. Ember and Zari were prepared to win. Today was Ember's birthday. 11 years ago, the local cleric prayed for a child of its own on Kolyada's eve, and as the fire of the sacred Budnik log crackled in the hearth, Ember was born from the flame. At the impressive height of 5 whole inches, with the skin the color of tree bark and hair made out of pine needles, Ember's wings radiated warmth as he fluttered close to his best friend Zari. Zari was found as a baby by the same cleric at the doorstep of the temple only a year after Ember was born, and since then the two were inseparable. It quickly became apparent that Zari was a descendant of the ancient giants, as she outgrew all kids her age. As you might imagine, the fire fairy and half-giant stood out like a sore thumb in the village of Svetlovar. United by their love for magic, they dreamt of becoming great wizards one day, and mastering simple spells together was a step on their path to greatness. Unbeknown to their parents, the local kids decided in secret to meet at the edge of the forest where the Budnik fell. On these hallowed grounds, they would battle for glory and fun. An honorable snowball fight would decide who would be the snow champion on this Kolyada's eve. The blessed champion would carry out the will of Kolyada himself. They would be in charge of building the Guardian Snowman, using the consecrated branches from the Budnik itself that the kids had collected in the morning. Only the true snow champion knew how many arms and noses does the Snow Guardian need. The woods were a dangerous place, especially at this time of year. The long frost Dulmaros creeps up, threatening the living, looking to put out the fire in every hearth. That's what adults would tell children to scare them off from venturing too far from the village. But true adventurers are not stopped by a little wind and a few snowflakes. Not when there is a quest to be completed. One must persevere in the face of challenge. And challenge was exactly what brought Billy and Bonky out on this day. When the two were together, it was only a matter of time before a competition would begin. Bonky was an orc boy, very tall and strong for his age, with a fiery temperament. Most kids were afraid of him. One day, he would be the strongest in the whole village. That much was certain. Last one to reach the forest is a loser! With a thud, Billy leapt from a nearby rooftop onto the main road and sprinted in front of Bonky. Snow crunched under Billy's boots as his long curly chestnut hair swayed in the winter air. The human boy was the fastest runner in the village. As always, he was smiling. He was in the lead. Catching up to him would be impossible. The looming branches of tall oaks and evergreens, heavy with fresh snow, shook in the wind all around the small group of around a dozen children. They were gathered around the tree stump of the sacred oak. The snow fight was about to begin. The rules were simple. 1 hit and you are out. The last one standing would be the snow champion. Our 4 protagonists joined the group and awaited the signal. The midday bell. Zari positioned herself at the base of the tall tree. She swiftly drew a series of geometrical patterns in the snow with an oak branch decorated with braided red string. She wanted to win, so she had to be smart and summoned her magic. Spirits of the land and hearth and light, I summon thee to aid me in this snowball fight. A small whirlwind formed just in time to deflect the snowball flying straight at Zari's face, creating a protective wall. Ember flew straight up, taking cover in the branches of that same tree. No one expected snowballs coming from the treetops. Together, the fairy and the half-giant were a force to be reckoned with, removing one opponent after the other from the game. Meanwhile, Bonky was hurling the largest snowballs this battlefield had ever seen, managing to hit 2 opponents with 1 single shot. No one dared to face him head-on. Over on the other side, Billy was a blur of chestnut curls in laughter. Duck, dodge, attack. He moved with such speed that no one could hit him as he lobbed snowball after snowball. And then there were only 5. Ember, Zari, Billy, and Bonky, and a boy named Vanko, whose face was barely visible behind a thick woolen scarf embroidered with snowflakes. One of them would be the snow champion. One of them would be the one who would decide how and where the guardian snowman would be built. Vanko, come on, it's late. It's time to come back home. Vanko's mom had come out amongst the trees to call him home right before the final showdown. Mom, 5 more minutes, please. We're about to have the final showdown, and I could really win. Come on. I said it's time to come home. I won't say it again. Fine. Vanko threw his last snowball at the closest tree and followed his mom towards the forest. And then there were 4. Like a shooting star, Ember flew out of the dense crown of the oak tree, leaving a trail of sparks behind. He dropped a snowball right on top of Bonky's head, whose face went from green to red as he angrily kicked the snow. With Bonky out of the game, Ember headed in the direction of his next target, Billy, who was too busy trying to break through Zari's defenses. Or so it seemed. Billy ducked, dodged, and counterattacked, and before he knew it, Ember plummeted. Wisps of steam arose from a fairy-shaped hole in the snow. Distracted by the defeat of her best friend, Zari lost concentration on the protection spell, creating a brief opening. Sprint, jump, throw. Before she knew it, the final snowball struck her down. Laughter and cheer filled the air as the winner of the Snowball Fight, Billy, raised 4 carrots in the air. As the Snow Champion, I declare that the Guardian Snowman shall have 7 arms and 4 noses. And so it was. The kids quickly got to work. Ember and Zari picked the best 7 branches from the small pile that the kids managed to collect when the Budnik was logged into the village. Bonky raised a solid base for the snowman's body. Billy shaped the head and face, triumphantly placing the 4 carrot noses on it. It was time to officiate it. Arise now, Sir Snowman. As Snow Champion, I dub thee Guardian Snowman, faithful servant of Kolyada, protector of the forest and village of Svetlovar, Billy proclaimed with his most serious voice.
Here, I found a scarf for the snowman too.
A girl came running carrying a thick woolen scarf covered in snow and adorned with snowflakes. Isn't that Vanko's scarf? Bonky said. We should take it back to him, said Billy. He should have stayed a bit longer. I can't believe his mom didn't let him stay 5 more minutes. What did she mean it's late? It's only midday. Zari's smile faded as her gaze wandered into the dark forest. How did his mom know we were here? No one knew. It was a secret. Why did she come from the forest, not from the village? Billy gasped. There was a fellow adventurer in grave danger, and the adventurer's code states clearly, no one left behind. Okay, Bonky, Zari, Ember, we must work together as a team and search the forest. The rest, stay here in case he returns. And so, the adventuring party was formed and embarked into the unknown. Vanko's footsteps were still visible as they twisted and turned into the snowy twilight. His footsteps, and his alone. With each step it got colder. The wind did not just blow, it screamed, a high, thin whistle that sent shivers throughout the group. The holiday cheer was swallowed by a frost that did not just bite. It wanted you to be still. It wanted you to forget. Our brave adventurers moved close to each other. Ember concentrated all of his magical energy into radiating warmth to the group and fluttered in between them as they followed Vanko's footsteps. They were far away from home. The village of Svetlovar was gone. Here, beyond the veil, the trees stood like skeletal, blackened pillars in a forest which had seen no sun for centuries. Here, beyond the veil, was the domain of the long frost, the domain of Dul Maros. Look! Zari pointed ahead. In a clearing which seemed like the center of a graveyard sat an ancient stone fire pit, buried deep underneath a crust of blue ice. Above it, a massive iron bell, frozen mid-swing. There, curled in the center of the pit, was Vanko. His skin paled, his breathing slow, slipping into the sleep that knows no waking. Children, have your parents not taught you not to venture into the forest alone? Vanko's mother hovered towards the adventurers. Her feet left no trace in the pristine snow. Her visage twisted and transformed into a spindly monstrosity, a 7-foot-tall humanoid figure made out of wet grey slush and tangled willow branches approached like the winter's chill. This monster had a single milky white eye glowing with a dim, freezing light, and it was focused on the 4 kids. It blinked and charged. Behind what was definitely not Vanko's mother, a shadow rose from the trees, a towering whirlwind of sleet and icy isolation. Dul Maroz had arrived, not as a creature of flesh, but as the lonely cold itself. As he stretched his freezing hands towards the pyre, the 4 adventurers knew that they were the only ones who could save Vanko. They trusted each other and acted as one. Ember flew straight towards the frozen pit. Zari followed, sprinting behind. She was fast at casting spells, oak branch in one hand, red string in the other. But the monster was faster. In an effort to avoid the oncoming attack, Zari leapt sideways. Snow gave way to ice, and Zari felt the ground underneath betray her. The world turned upside down as she flipped. "I can't get up!" she yelled at Billy and Bonky, clutching at her ankle. "Go help her, I've got this," said Billy. After all, he was the snow champion, so he charged the horrifying one-eyed creature. The monster leapt in the air, its claws raised high, ready to strike. But suddenly, what seemed like an avalanche dropped from the sky in front of Billy. A 7-armed, 4-nosed snowman jumped in between the boy and the monster, stopping it midair and sending it back with a powerful strike. The legends were true. The Snowman Guardian was here to protect them from the long frost. Bonky sprinted towards Zari. He couldn't heal her, he couldn't do magic, but he was strong, and she needed to follow Ember. Bonky lifted his half-giant friend as the blizzard grew, raining hail from above. But true adventurers are not stopped by a little wind and a few snowflakes, not when there is a quest to be completed. One must persevere in the face of challenge, and Bonky persevered. Ember fluttered above the body of Vanko in the eye of the storm. Eyes closed, his father's lessons echoed throughout his mind. The most potent source of magic is the warmth of the hearth and what it represents to you, my son. Ember thought of home, of a warm tea poured by a loved one, of bread freshly out of the oven, the smell of pine, the laughter of friends, and snowball fights. With each flutter of his wings, he sent warmth to Vanko, who slowly opened his eyes. "Quick, out of the pit!" yelled Bonky as he was holding up Zari, both standing on the edge of the fire pit. She studied the carvings on the frozen bell above, and in an instant she knew what needed to be done. Zari's words cut through the howling blizzard.
The song of Kolyada's Eve is not just a song. It's a magic incantation. How did I not see it earlier? We need to sing together. We need the warmth of the hearth and the warmth of friendship. Only if we stand together can we defeat the long frost.
Ember was the first to fly next to Zari, holding her finger as Vanko grabbed Bonky's hand. "Billy, quick! We need you here!" The monster tirelessly slashed with its claws at the snowman. It was too dangerous to run past it, The monster was too fast, but Billy was faster. Duck, dodge, sprint. His long curly chestnut hair swayed in the winter air. With a leap and a smile, he landed next to Vanko and grabbed his hand. Together as one, they sang. Chop the log and strip the fold, bind the wood with song and wool, pour the oil and wrap it tight, to keep us warm throughout the night. Stand together, hand in hand, let the iron wake the land, strike the frost and ring the bells, while the world sleeping dwells. Keep the flame and share the bread, keep the living from the dead. Now the winter's peace comes in, Kolyada's eve begins. Their song tore through the raging snowstorm. The thick ice covering the fire pit in the bell shattered. A blazing fire filled the pit, its flames warming the adventurers. Billy and Bonky jumped in the air, grabbed the heavy iron bell, and swung it as it joined the song. The iron did not just ring, it roared. Its harmony, frozen for ages unknown, now resonated forth. A shockwave of gold and white light rippled outward into the blizzard. Stoil Monev let out a sound like a cracking glacier before dissolving into the wind. The children turned to face the guardian snowman, standing still, triumphant. The monster was nowhere in sight. The long frost had been banished once again. Kolyada's eve had truly begun. Heavy, peaceful snow began to fall. Kolyada's blanket was tucking the world in. It was time to go home. The adventurers looked around to realize that they were at the edge of the forest. The village was visible in the near distance once more. With a victorious cheer, our heroes journeyed back home and joined the festivities. Evening came, and back home our brave heroes were ready for a well-deserved, warm and cozy, long rest. Ready for dreams of bravery and adventure, of how on Kolyada's eve they stood against Stoil Monev together, how friendship melted away the lonely long frost of winter. This tale would forever warm their hearts. Outside, the guardian snowman kept watch as a silent protector with 7 eyes and 4 noses. The village of Svetlovar was safe.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this story, and if you did, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories from the world of Rodozem. And we'll see you soon around the Hearth.